Hi, everybody. It's me. It's Reverend Carol Ann. And I just want to tell you, you're good. You're good. It's been a hell of a week. You know, I had a whole concept down. I had bullet points. I knew what I was going to talk about. And then all hell broke loose and, you know, they're storming the castle. So it just seems like for weeks and months and years now, we've been saying, I don't know how many weeks in a row, it's been a hell of a week. So I decided to thank the universe and bring it on board and start to look into this. And like magic, not unexpectedly, a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson just eked into my awareness. He says, bad times have a scientific value. These are occasions a good learner would not miss. So, wanting to be a good learner and looking for any way to feel like I'm in control, I thanked again the universe for serving up what it is I need to look at. And I decided I want to talk about these three things: grace, gratitude, and courage. I know, it's a tall order. That's a lot to unpack, so I'm just going to barely touch on these three things, and then I'm just going to trust you that you are going to take what you need from this, what speaks to you, and carry it with you on your spiritual path and allow it to take you wherever you need to go. So, may you live in interesting times. You may have heard this before. It's purported to be an English translation of a Chinese saying, but is it a blessing or is it a curse? Simply a matter of perception, in my view. That perception is a common theme in my personal religious studies journey. And every situation can be a situation of bondage or release, a persecution or an affirmation. The distinction between those two seeming polar opposites is what is the first thing I want to talk about. Grace. That's the distinction, is grace. So what is grace? So I looked to Ernest Holmes, the author of our textbook, Science of Mind textbook. Ernest Holmes says, grace is the givingness of the Spirit to its creation. Now the creation he's talking about is literally that everything is made of the same God stuff. There's one source, back of everything, back of all, that gives rise to life, light, power, beauty, peace, joy, and love. These are the 7 qualities of God as described by religious science. While they're abstract in nature, they are also found in nature and personified in critters like you and I. In all critters. All critters have these attributes of God. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who is a contemporary of Ernest Holmes, says, who I also referred to earlier, you'll hear some more from him later. Ralph Waldo says, the invariable mark of wisdom is to see the miraculous in the common. And everything in nature contains all the power of nature. Everything is made from one hidden stuff. So all things are made of this stuff, this stardust, this God stuff, this indescribable and yet tangible matter. Everything is God. Everything is an expression of principle, a demonstration of the very breath of the goddess, the inevitable and miraculous creation of life, a being of spirit. And if all things are made of God stuff, then the only thing that separates the blessing from the curse is the perspective of grace. So how do you attain that awareness? How do you tap into that grace? Well, for me, it's a quieting. It's a quieting of the mind. It's my meditation practice. And meditation allows my attention to fall upon that place of connection to Source. It allows me to connect with Spirit, to be aware of that connection to Spirit. The place where all of the illusions in my mind just fall away. And from this place, I can remember that I am, that each of us is the divine spark. We are an expression of God, of creation, of the goddess, of Source, of Joe Pesci, whatever you want to call it. Each of us carries that divinity within us. In meditation, I allow my attention to fall upon and be bathed in the grace of God. That's all it takes, is allowing my attention to become aware of it, allowing my attention to fall upon it. I am always bathed in the grace of God. It is always so. Only my attention wavers, not my place in grace. I am always at home here. It is my birthright, and the birthright of every critter, everyone. It's akin to respect. I've heard it said again and again that respect must be earned. Well, I disagree. I believe that because we exist as an expression of Source, we are deserving of respect. We live in the light of grace. It's an inherent fact of our existence. The respect that we hold for someone or something can be diminished, but only if we forget that we are all expressions of Spirit and that we all exist in the realm of grace. The miracle of grace, Glennon Doyle says, the miracle of grace is that you can give what you've never gotten. And that brings me to the next point that I want to touch upon, and that is gratitude. From this place, from the light of grace, from that sweet spot, I'm able to look at the unending unfolding of creation around me and just fall into gratitude. From the beauty of a flower to the swelling of emotion in song, the peace and beauty of solitude to the loving vulnerability of my fellow travelers when they share their fears and their joys with me. The immense courage of my beloveds to stand with me in knowing we are all love. The knowing that no matter what happens, no matter what circumstances unfold in any given day, I am all right. I am resplendent. My spirit is untouched and imminently lovable. And so it is for you as well. And so it is for all critters. It is with this awareness that I fall into gratitude. The second thing I wanted to tell you about, that expansive net of gratitude catches me and cradles me and brings me forward into freedom, right? An attitude of gratitude will set you free. Just ask Reverend Louis, ask Jawarin. So at this point in time, if we were all together in the sanctuary, I would ask for examples. I would ask you to speak up and say what it is you're grateful for. It's a simple enough task when we're all together, but I will invite you to reflect on this. And when you do, think hard about the things in your life and in the world at large that you are grateful for. There is much to be grateful for and much to be proud of. Despite things that are upsetting or worrisome, there's an immense amount to be grateful for, just as the silver linings of those things. Very much to marvel at. And if you get stuck, don't worry. Ernest Holmes has your back. He says, there is a foolproof way to get more love, more happiness, peace, and joy in your life. Foolproof. And while it is simple, it is not always easy. We're talking about gratitude. This becomes a spiritual practice when we move from simply showing appreciation or returning kindnesses to feeling and expressing gratitude for all the wonderful things, big and small, in our lives. What we focus on grows. When we focus on how grateful we are for the love, happiness, peace, and joy already in our lives, we send a message to the universe. More of this, please. What do you want to grow more of in your life? Focus on it with great gratitude and watch it grow. Also, these things that we're so grateful for, these magical, marvelous things, they're not in our lives because we inherently deserve it, because we've done something to earn it. Our ability and our willingness to value them actually creates a space for them to be in our lives. I love this. Alice Walker says from the life-altering, unbelievable book, The Color Purple, she says, I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. People think pleasing God is all God cares about, but any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back. That brings me to the third thing that I want to touch on today. It might seem like a disconnect to you, but Alice Walker brings me directly to courage. She is a pillar of courage, and everything she has done that I have seen publicly has always been a demonstration of class and grace and courage and humility and vulnerability and love and love and love. Grace. So it takes courage to walk forward, to strive and evolve, not knowing what will come of it. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? I mean, there's a lot that could happen, right? I can almost hear my mentors, Connie especially, that cackle that she has, it's so phenomenal. And the knowing grin that Anna always had for me when I started to freak out. I can hear them laughing at the ridiculousness inherent in that statement, that the idea that any one of us, I or any one of you, could be not enough for any given situation on any given day. It is laughable, but it's hard to remember. So let's explore that uneasiness a bit. Courage is, of course, not the absence of fear, but it's moving forward in spite of the fear. It's seeing something more important than your fear. So if I'm looking for something more important to do, what are my aims, right? This is where I get a little squeaky sometimes. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, the purpose of life is not to be happy. It's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Well, that sounds good. Well, he also says it's one of the most beautiful compensations of life that no man can sincerely try to help another without helping himself. Well, that sounds good too, right? Okay. He also says common sense is genius dressed in working clothes. Yep, I can get on board with that too. And then he says, is it so bad to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. Oh, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood, right? Anybody? Extra points for anybody who can tell me who wrote that? Anyone? Oh. It's Bernie Benjamin. I had to look it up. And then there's this, sent to me from the ever-capable and amazing Natalie Nigg. My ancestors navigated the ocean using the stars, and I'm over here missing my exits with a GPS. So let's break it down. So what happens to me, that I tried to demonstrate there, is that I know in my head that courage is moving forward, not in the absence of fear, but in spite of it, right? And that the thing that I'm working toward is more important than any thoughts of not being enough or failure or falling on my face. But what is that that's more important than saving face? What is it that inspires me to do more? It can't be just a series of quotes. Another thing that Emerson said is, I hate quotes. Tell me what you know. So here's what I know. I will be love. I will love. There's a meme, and although it's a different concept, the point is the same for me. And the meme is, there are these two funny-looking rabbits, and one of them's just standing there, the other one is working. He's just working away, right? And the first one says, what does he say? He says, why so optimistic about the new year? What do you think it'll bring? And the second one says, I think it'll bring flowers. And the first one says, yeah, how come? And the second one says, because I'm planting flowers. So in that vein, I feel I can reasonably expect that if I am planting love, if I am willing to be love, I can, with happy expectation, expect love. And I know, even if I don't get the result that I'm hoping for, my result that I get to be love is intact. That is mine because I made it, because I created it. I planned for that. Thich Nhat Hanh says, when we come into contact with the other person, our thoughts and actions should express our mind of compassion, even if that person says and does things that are not easy to accept. We practice in this way until we see clearly that our love is not contingent on the other person being lovable. Truly, this is the basis of my courage. To return to one of the things that I was most grateful for that I listed earlier, I know that no matter what happens, no matter what the circumstances are in my given day, I'm all right. I am resplendent. My spirit is untouched and imminently lovable. And so it is for you as well. And so it is for all critters. You are good. So I have a New Year's resolution. I don't usually make these things because they feel like a diet to me, like there's some sort of restriction, and anytime somebody tells me you can't, even if it's me, I like to rebel. So I don't usually make New Year's resolutions because they feel imposed and ridiculous. I prefer to be propelled by enthusiasm. But this year I'm going to make a New Year's resolution because it feels like it's propelled by enthusiasm, and it looks like this. I will look to my fellow human beings, the ones I know and love, and the ones that baffle me, and I will see their light, their life, their beauty, their power, their joy, and their love, even when all they can see is their own anger and helplessness. I will see their grace. I will be grateful for them. I will be courageous in my love for them. I keep getting better. They keep getting better. We are expressions of the divine. All of us. We are good. We're good. Namaste.